I spent a good couple decades talking with people from all sides about politics. And at 42, pretty much where I'm at now, it's kind of useless for me to have a debate with somebody who would be considered left-wing. I'm not saying that I'm giving up on communicating with people or having discussions or debates. I'm more at peace than ever with people that we disagree with, mainly because of the work of Jordan Peterson and Dr. Jordan Peterson and Dr. Jonathan Haidt, which basically points at the reason why people come up with these different conclusions and political affiliations. It doesn't have to do with intelligence and we're not smart and they're stupid or anything like that. It has to do with personality. And so pretty much the reason I said it's useless for me to have, a discussion with a person from the left wing now is because, I guess I think there's a chance I could give them a convincing argument with these facts that I have. But as far as I go, they're not going to name some fact or some factoid piece of information that all of a sudden now I'm going to become left-wing. Because to become left-wing, that means that now I no longer believe in inalienable rights, that basically, if I just give a laundry list of what I think left-wing believes, I don't want to give a long detailed list because you pretty much already believe it. I'm just saying that it's impossible for me to jump to any of those positions based upon any conversations that I've had with people. Nobody's going to ever convince me to vote for Joe Biden in 2024. So, yeah, basically the whole point is the position that I've been arriving at after years is that I'll communicate with anybody who wants to communicate, but I have there's nothing that leads me to believe that having a conversation with a leftist is going to shift any of my positions, because I would have to fundamentally change all of my principles in order to take on that new position, and that's something I'm not willing to do. Thomas Jefferson wrote in, I think it was the document he wrote for Virginia on religious freedom. I forget the exact title. He basically said that people's beliefs, they're led to believe based upon the evidence that's presented to them and how they perceive it. And I've studied all sorts of postmodernism. I've tried to listen to the other side and really consider it. Until I'm convinced or find some underlying fundamental basis, philosophical basis for thinking in this way, I am just not capable of doing it. And I want to be careful and make sure it's not just a matter of it's because I'm just programmed because of what I believe. And, I could believe what I believe, or you could believe what they believe. Whatever, it's all the same. It's all equal. There's no right or wrong. No, I fundamentally, and so people that study philosophy, people that I've spoken to who think like I do, it's based upon we're truly seeking the fundamental basis for the sovereignty of the individual. And so that's another reason why when you hear people from the left saying all this stuff about racism and all this kind of stuff, it's just such crap. It's a thought domain that they're in. And of course, I would like to leave the possibility open, like, yeah, what if I'm completely wrong? What if their thought domain is the one that is actually true? I would be a fool to not consider all those possibilities and to just assume that I'm correct and just run with it. But so when people are like saying, "Oh, you're the right wing, they're all racist," and that's pretty much like what you get from the left now, is anything from the right wing, it's all racist, and because their thought domain is as such that if you're not promoting their exact cause, which is kind of elusive, you can't even figure out exactly what the heck they're talking about. It's all just because it's an excuse for the elite to just take control and to put themselves in power forever. It's a bamboozle and a hoodwink. So as people who love philosophy, and I consider right wing to be the pursuit of truth and the uplifting of the individual, and that's another discussion. We could have that sometime. So in the pursuit of the truth and uplifting of the individual, it doesn't matter if the person is, half Puerto Rican like me. It doesn't matter if the person is black or whatever. It doesn't matter. So those accusations of racism, it's just, all that is like a hilarious joke to me, because out of all the philosophies, the one who is going to, I don't want to say get rid of racism, let's say nullify racism, make racism so weak, or empower the individual to such an extent that racism, that they can easily evade the impact of racism. So those types of accusations, sometimes, I just feel like it's really hard to have any true discussions with people on the left, because if you give a heartfelt discussion, and I feel like all of the discussions from the right wing, basically they all are about empowering the individual and removing the ability for the individual to be arbitrarily impacted by unjust powers. And usually that comes from the government. Anyways, I just think it is a pity, but I've yet to see any convincing argument, and I'm sure the left would say the same thing about us. I've yet to see any convincing argument from the left that leads me to adopt any of their platforms. And again, I'll just mention the lessons from Dr. Jordan Peterson and Dr. Jonathan Haidt. And I'm not saying that people from the left wing are stupid. I'm not saying anything like that. There's brilliant people. It's just they're literally using different psychological apertures to draw these conclusions. I will mention Jonathan Haidt is a left-leaning person, and both him and Dr. Jordan Peterson have come to the conclusion, when they create their categories, psychological categories, that conservative or right-wing people are the ones that are operating on all of these categories. So I encourage you to look into that. For instance, Jonathan Haidt mentions that one of the categories that the left is not using is the category that looks at tradition, or like how we got here, what brought us the success that we have. And you can see that in a lot of left-wing policies where we're like, are you kidding? Like, do you understand that you're undermining our success? Don't you understand all the lessons of history? And sometimes it can seem like ignorant and stupid, but it's other psychological categories like openness. So think about that. We have like thousands of years of tradition that brought us this success and brought us to where we are, and it's so fragile. Freedom and success is the exception, not the norm. And then the left wing comes along with their openness, and they're just like, oh, just cast all that aside because, come on, we want to be open. And we're like, oh my gosh. So want to make sure, see, we're not calling that stupid. It's literally a different device. They have a different device to make decisions. Instead of just thinking that, oh, we all just have brains and you just have to logically derive your conclusions. No, it's inside of this head, we have all of these different devices that make the decisions that we make our decisions through. And left-wing and right-wing people, in a certain sense, it's impossible for them to come to the same conclusion. So it blows me away. Hey, Merry Christmas to everybody. We're about to 2022, so hope everything's looking up for you, and much love.